This week, there's been a lot going on, so instead of making an intro, we just have this slow-mo video of the dog. I mean, wolf. So that was taken with the where's that thing that I was paid to talk about? Oh yeah, nothing. I wasn't paid to talk about anything. There's that product behind me over there. So yeah, let's just jump right in. Wendell, what's going on?
How's it going?
It's like
late.
It is the middle of the night over there.
I've got caffeine and it's fine. Maybe my audio will be in sync this time. we can be bothered to get a capture device. I don't think everybody realizes you're working on a laptop because your edit rig is the temporary NAS. Because I've been doing brain surgery on the other NAS.
There's going to be a crazy video coming up pretty soon about that. So what's happened is we moved here. My old NAS died because we had 3 hard drives in a ZFS system. 2 of them died, which is ridiculous. One of them would have been fine, but one of them like really died. I mean, it died to the point where like we gave it to Wendell, and then Wendell, you sent it to someone, right?
We sent it to Gilware, and so
yeah.
we're good friends with Gilware. Gilware is actually really awesome. They've got a lot of really cool stuff on their YouTube page about all this crazy equipment they have. I suggest that you Google hard drive burnisher, and that is just as insane as it sounds. And they have the hard drive burnisher, which will actually scrape the foreign material from a damaged platter. So one of our drives was so damaged that that the burnisher could not save us in this situation, which has never happened. I've probably sent, I don't know, 2 dozen drives to them over the years, and the burnisher has usually we need to get out the burnisher. It's like, bring out the GIMP, and then everything was fine. But in this case, that did not happen.
I think it has to do with the contents of the drive. They're just like, yeah, the burnisher won't even touch that stuff. It was just music, that's all, guys. Just death metal. I don't know what you guys were thinking about there.
We were able to repair the other drive that also died. However, there was about 312 kilobytes of information missing from the second drive, which was at the beginning and the end of the disk, which, if you're familiar with ZFS, is extremely bad news. But we were able to get the album back. We got the entire album back except for 1 track, is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty much everything that matters. 1 track is like, I'll figure that out. But almost all of this Zweihander stuff has been recovered now. I just have to put it together and we should have the new album. I keep saying soon. That's the only thing I ever tell anyone is soon. And the reason being is because I'm not working full-time on Zweihander. I would like to sometimes, but there's lots of stuff. And if you guys want to see a video, then you'll have to wait for the music. If you don't want any videos, then we can have the music like next week. You know, that's literally next week. You guys can have it. But yeah. So anyway,
in order to recover that, we literally had to patch the source code of ZDB in order to extract the file 1 block at a time, and then surgically concatenate those blocks basically back into 1 file. So I got to learn. I've never done that before. I got to learn about ZFS internals through ZDB. ZDB is an ungodly buggy program. It's very bad, and so I think that like they fixed all the bugs with ZFS, and they're like, oh, ZDB is maybe, I don't know. I think on Solaris, MDB is maybe a little bit better, but it's literally loading the core dumps from ZDB in the GNU debugger to be like, hey, how did this crash? Oh, it crashed. It's like, if this horrible situation is happening, die immediately because you're going to lose everything. And we had to edit the source code and be like, well, don't die exactly. Let's just keep going and see what happens. So that was a lot of fun.
If nothing else, you've just given everyone a migraine. But I did get a new T-shirt idea out of that. How about a T-shirt that says, I can concatenate? And then all the data recovery people will buy that, and no one else will have any idea what it means, and they'll wear it to the store, and no one will care. It'll be like one of those things where it's like, every once in a while, you'll see someone who's like, hey, but no. They won't even be that. It'll just be like, oh, this guy over here, I don't even know what that means. And I'm not even going to look it up. It's one of those words where you're like, I don't know what that means, and I'm not even going to look it up, because, no.
We should come up with something slightly more clever than that. Maybe one man's core dump is another man's treasure. I don't know, something. Because the core dumps were really useful in recovering it. I mean, at this point, we've recovered, what, 2.5, 3 terabytes, give or take, because we've got videos and music and all kinds of stuff back.
Yeah.
Most of it's back. Some of it's not.
So anyway, I'm using this as my capture device right now. This MSI workstation has been ridiculous. I thought it was going to slow down. I did all my editing at Computex with this thing, and maybe it's the Quadro or maybe it's the, I don't know. This thing is fast, and MSI did not pay me to say it was fast. I have to say that now because every time I say that I like anything, everyone's like, "Oh, you got paid to say you like it. That's cool. Whatever, you got paid. Great." Now, no one pays me to say anything. They pay us to what do they pay us to do? I don't know. To do stupid things like put fireworks in our butt. That's what they want. But anyway, this thing has been really fast, but I haven't fully had time to make it work perfectly for streaming and that sort of thing. But anyway, the streaming rig, I pulled all the hard drives out of it. They're sitting right, and actually right here's there's the OS, and there's the normal streaming rig that I use. There's the OS and there's the hard drive. I pulled them out so that I could have a FreeNAS box. I put 3 of the 4 terabyte HGST drives in there like this, and running FreeNAS inside this full-size tower computer, or not a full size. It's a mid-size. It's a Silencio from Cooler Master. Nice and quiet. But yeah, and everything's just been transferring all the way from Kentucky to Seattle, and I cannot wait to open up
Comcast speeds.
I know Comcast is truly the bottleneck here, but I cannot wait to, at the end of the month, look at our data usage, because we uploaded everything from China, Hong Kong. Well, actually, we uploaded like everything from Hong Kong because the internet speed was 500 by 500. And then when we got to Taipei, it was 100 by 100. So we uploaded everything that we've shot. Every single video, we uploaded it back to the office. Maybe close to 300 gigabytes. And then you've been uploading everything that was on my old NAS. Now that things have been slightly recovered, all the old video files, there were about 20 unedited videos. But in order to get all the unedited videos, we're just uploading the entire video folder, which is like, I don't know, a few terabytes. So I can't wait at the end of the month to look and be like, yeah, you had like a soft limit of 250 and you just did like 4 terabytes of data this month. So
the soft limit of 250, you're running about 7,000.
I'm the reason that there's going to be data bandwidth caps now in this market. They're going to look at me and be like, all right, you know what, this entire area, you're all getting bandwidth caps because this is not going to happen again, okay? And then we'll all have to switch to another ISP, but the stupid mayor signed a deal with Comcast, so it's like the deal's up this year, and then we can get on with our lives hopefully soon when a real ISP comes in and saves us all from the terrors of Comcast. I hate you guys so much, Comcast. All right, let's get down to work. Go ahead.
We keep rambling much longer. We're going to be able to skip this episode. It's like, oh, look, we managed to get through another episode without actually talking about the news.
Here's the news. We're going to go straight to the UK because something ridiculous has happened. Well, I believe we even talked about it last October when they said, hey, if you have a CD or whatever, you're allowed to make a digital copy. Well, everyone involved in I guess all the copyright owners, whatever they are, all the different organizations, lots of organizations that have, acronyms and iconisms and all that kind of stuff all got together and were like, no. If people own something on a CD and they want it on their computer, they should be forced to rebuy it because the act of making a copy for personal use should be illegal. And guess what? The government and the courts are kind of listening to them. So now it looks like it's going to be illegal for you to take a CD that you have and make that into an MP3. In the UK, because
even though last year they were like, that's fine, that's totally okay, and then now they're like, that's totally not okay. What I don't understand here's the root of the matter: are CDs licensed or sold? If they're licensed, like the basis of this ruling, where it's not okay to format shift, basically, is that the license does not allow that. But if CDs are licensed, then you don't really have a problem because. It's like, oh, my copy was destroyed. You would never have to buy another copy again because the license is an intellectual construct. If someone steals your stuff, they can't really technically legally steal the license from you. So you would be licensed to listen to that song in whatever format in perpetuity. If it's a good, if it's something that is owned, then if you lose it, then you lose access to it. You lose the rights to it. But if it's something that you own, then you certainly would have the right to format shift it and do whatever you want. And so they sort of want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to say, well, this is a licensed product and there are restrictions on the license, even though, you know, it may be a shrink wrapped good where you buy a CD and you open the CD case and you do whatever. So it's really, we have that problem in the US, but in the UK, I'm surprised that the legal system in the UK is this wishy-washy about it. Their alternative is that they want a special tax on blank media. So the rights holders say, anytime you buy a blank hard drive, we're going to automatically get a cut of that. We're going to wet our beak with that, basically.
That's the most preposterous thing I've ever heard. And the thing that really troubled me about this is some countries are already doing this. If you buy a USB drive,
like the U.S.
We're putting money into the pockets of all the different copyright holders out there and all the different ridiculous unions like the musicians unions and the British songwriters and composers union. Why did they get a cut when I buy a hard drive or a flash drive? That makes no sense. It's just like, that's like, well, you know, just in case there's a possibility that any of our stuff could ever actually be on there, we should have a piece of that. That's the most preposterous and ridiculous thing I've ever heard of, but it's more convoluted than gerrymandering. It really is, but I guess it makes sense when you think about it from the standpoint of the corrupt officials took some money and then they said, totally, we'll make sure that you guys get money for doing nothing, essentially. You're just going to sit at home and get fat checks because you gave us fat checks. So that makes sense. I understand when you look at it from that standpoint. It's totally ridiculous, and they all should be hit in the head with bricks. But I understand it when you look at it that way. It's the only way to do it. Anyway, you ready to move on and see what else is on the list here? So 5G networks have been identified. It's like a thing like, yes, I think we have seen a 5G network. No, they're not identified. They've been defined. So
another bear found 5G networks in the woods. Is that what's happened? Like you were talking about last week?
Yeah, that happens all the time now. You know, the bears are all over that 5G. I don't even know. So let's just quickly talk about, they say it'll possibly be in wide circulation by 2020 or so. It's going to be 20 gigabytes per second, super fast. They're going to demo it at the 2018 Olympics. And South Korea is saying that it is capable of delivering 100 megabits per second to 1 million devices within a kilometer, 1 square kilometer. That's pretty impressive. I mean, 1 million connected devices, so a few towers, you know, or maybe a few transmission devices, and you're good to go. That's a lot of. I mean, 100's enough now. I'm not sure if 100 is going to be enough in 2020 when we're consuming a lot more data and 8K is a thing and all that sort of thing. But I don't know. That's something to look forward to, I suppose. Maybe.
I think that I would like to see, the proof is kind of in the pudding. If this technology exists today and we're not like starting to roll it out today, that would make me very sad, because this technology seems like it's amazing space age technology. Like, oh, some visitors from Alpha Centauri dropped this off on their way through. Cool, sounds good. Let's roll with that. It's just hard for me to imagine that it would be able to live up to these standards. But we're mentioning it because it's like, look, sci-fi Star Trek technology that's totally here now, but not really.
I don't know if I trust those Alpha Centauris. Is that what you call them? Is there Alpha Centaurians? I guess it would be. Yeah, I don't know if I trust them ever since the last thing that they dropped off. It was just...
Meanwhile, we on Earth are dealing with the 250 gig cap from Comcast, because that's a thing.
Yeah, the Alpha Centaurians never had that. That's why they became interplanetary. Anyway, let's go ahead and get down to the next thing. So retailers, they want to be able to scan your face without your permission and without even telling you and without even allowing you to opt out. They don't think that it's any big deal, and they think that it's preposterous to even think that they should have to ask for your permission when they're scanning your face. That's just another way for them to collect data on you and improve your experience. Come on, right? So we're talking like Minority Report style stuff, where as you travel around, you're constantly having your face scanned so that they can better advertise to you, and also so that they can track, you know, exactly where you're going. Now, this stuff is already out there in the world, and it's already being used, and that's why we're even talking about it. Facebook, there's no opt-out function. It's just there. If you have Facebook, they're going to use the whole thing. That's the way it is. Google and Microsoft, they allow you to opt into it, but yeah, there's no It just happens everywhere else. And the thing I want to know is, we can go and look at this article a little bit more, but I want to know what you guys think about this. Is this the inevitable future? Because they already collect pretty much everything else about us. They are able to tell where we're going just by taking pictures of our license plate on our car as we move around town and stuff. That all happens. Doesn't mean it's okay, but it all happens. And how do you guys feel about this? Should we do something to fight it? Should we just sit back and accept this as the next step in the, I guess, the path to just total vulnerability for all citizens? I mean, you know, they know everything about us. Is that just, should we just sit back and, what should we do? I don't have an answer for this right now. It's just, well, this is just what's happening. And I can totally see in 5 or 10 years from now, everywhere you go, you're completely, you know, vulnerable to scanning, and your face is being scanned, and there's a map of everything you do that is accessible by any party who wants to buy it or whatever. That's where we're headed, like it or not. So let me know what you guys think.
Basically already there.
Yeah, we're
it's going to be controlled by Google.
Yeah, we're probably already there from a surveillance standpoint. We're just not there from a marketing standpoint. And that's, I think, where we're getting to, like all the different cameras around, you know, Times Square and stuff. They'll be able to use that for marketing purposes. So, yeah. Anyway.
It's like, I see that you went on vacation to New York City last year. Would you like to buy some more tickets to New York City? Because you were there last year. And it's like, that's not creepy. The Marlboro Man knowing that I went to New York City, that's not creepy at all.
Speaking of declaring war on ads, there's a former Google employee, and he has decided to fight ad block. So I guess a lot of this is in response to the fact that it's very difficult to be a publisher on the internet these days because ad block has surged. Let's see if there's a chart here. Yep, yeah, there sure is a chart on the screen. So ad block usage right now, we're at like 144 million users on ad block, whereas you know, in 2013 we have 54 million users. So it's more. It's almost tripled, not quite tripled, but more than doubled as far as usage go. And you know what? We've actually seen quite a substantial. We've taken quite a substantial hit for that on YouTube. Though our hits have gone up from where they were a couple of years ago, we are getting maybe 25 to 30% less ad revenue from all that, and that's a direct. That's directly correlated with the upflux. It's not even a word. Yes, it is now. The upflux of people using ad block. Just the more you guys use it, the less we make on advertising on our videos. And that's why, you know, we've diversified. We've got our store, and we've got other things going on. We've got tech support. So thank all you guys for helping us out there. We might even do a Patreon. You know, I'm looking for other ways, and we're constantly looking for other ways to support ourselves. But a lot of the websites that are smaller or don't have an audience that is as familiar and happy with them, you know, they need to get by. They're not doing so well. And AdBlock is putting them out of business. It's changing the way they do business, like it or not. I know you guys hate ads. So we're in this world where we have everyone, you know, using AdBlock. And that's because a lot of the publishers use really shitty ads. I mean, let's face it. They use ads that are obnoxious, so you want to get rid of them. I use AdBlock as well. I use it on most sites, but on sites that I respect, like Ars Technica, and other sites like that, I disable it to make sure. Oh, I hope I've disabled it on this machine. It's like each machine you go to, you have to like, see, I'm going to do it right now in front of everybody. Now that I'm talking.
I forgot.
Well, it's each
I
machine.
hate it when we're doing that. Well, it's like we'll have an episode and then somebody will be like, oh my God, you left AdBlock on for the episode of the tech. And it's like, I'm sorry.
Well, it's like each time I have a new installation of Chrome, you have to go back in and like, set your stuff. Is there a way to like carry it over across machines? I don't know. So anyway, yeah, whenever I think about it, I'm being a bastard. Anyway, the bottom line here with this article, I guess we'll let you get down to the meat. I'm just going back and forth.
Well, no. It's so the interesting thing here is that we're talking about AdBlock Plus with Google Chrome or Microblock with uBlock with Google Chrome. So wait a minute. Google has an interest here in not letting people use AdBlock, and so this guy left Google because Google wasn't, you know, taking a stand. And they talk about how Google, the Chrome division, is not really interested in dictating the experience. If people want to go to the trouble of installing the AdBlock plugin, they're not going to stop them, at least not yet.
I mean,
and
even
so
though
that's interesting. Because advertisers are up in arms about that. They're like, wait,
Yeah.
you control the browser. You can fix this. And it's like, well, it's not that simple.
Yeah, I mean, even though it cost Google $6.6 billion last year alone. That's what AdBlock is estimated to have cost them. So even that's pretty interesting that they're just like, you know what, we're not going to tell the users what they can and cannot do. We're going to leave it up to them. And Apple is totally for it. Even in fact, Apple is enabling AdBlock on a lot of their devices, which has been very difficult for the publishers trying to work with Apple. But they're letting people have, if you guys are, do our Apple whatever we tell you to do, then we'll let you have ads. So there's always that. But anyway, the bottom line here is this guy he's creating a service that if you run it, it will allow you to have your website and still serve the ads. Well, you'll have a choice. You can, if someone has ad block, you can force the ads to go through if you want to. You can make a notice pop up that says, hey, we're all going to starve to death, you bastards. It'll say that nicely in in Web 2.0 language. Is Web 2.0 still a thing? But I guess the whole like bubbly soft feel is so. Like, hey, we love you guys, and you guys should love us too, and we need to eat. Awkward laugh. Please disable your ad block. So I think that's pretty much how it's going to work. I don't know. Should we run that and just have it say like, hey man, you're a dirtbag, and we love you, but you're still a dirtbag, so turn off ad block, and maybe you'll see a really cool ad because our ads are almost curated. Not really.
I've always wanted to put some AdBlock ads up that would show up if AdBlock is installed. That is like, you make baby Logan cry when you use AdBlock.
Well, see, that's the problem with that is that everyone's going to definitely use AdBlock because they want to see all the ridiculous like AdBlock like things that we have. They want to look at all our silly like AdBlock alternative things that show up. That's what's going to happen. It'll be the opposite effect. They're like, well, we want to support the site, but we also want to see the ridiculous stuff that's in place whenever their AdBlock is enabled. So,
buy some stuff from the store. One of our clever T-shirts and/or other accessories.
I think they're clever.
They're far less clever than we think they are, I fear.
Yeah, I know. But I think that's half of the fun is that they're just awful and people wear them anyway. So, by the way, let's just go ahead and do a little advertisement here. Yes. Go buy all our awful
3 parts clever.
Here's our awful shirts. And we've got this awful, this is just deplorable Imperial pint glass. Now, for all you guys out there who want to put 20 ounces of beer instead of those puny American pint glasses, you can have an Imperial pint glass. And yes, that's how I ended that sentence. Also, the design of the month. The design of the month. I think this is freaking awesome, and I want to see more 8-bit stuff in our store, and I will make sure that we get more 8-bit stuff if this one is successful. And so far, it's been okay. It hasn't been the best shirt of the month so far, so if you want this one, and you want us to see more of these things, I'm thinking like more cityscapes and just more really cool 8-bit artwork on the store, let us know, and the best way to let us know is by grabbing the shirt of the month. So there's that, and I think that's pretty much all I'm going to do. You guys know that there's stuff on there. It's fun. We're always going to be adding new stuff, so scroll down, and if you want the special, Objective 2 with the ODAC, I told him to go for the big output there, Anyway, that's what it looks like. It's fancy. It comes with a T-shirt and the O2 amp. Yes, I'm great at selling this stuff. All right, moving right along then. What's next on the menu today? Google, Microsoft, Mozilla, and others are launching a new language. It's kind of, I guess the idea is to get rid of JavaScript entirely, but that's going to take a little bit of doing. It's called WebAssembly. And JavaScript is pretty heavy, so they're making this one a binary. It's a binary format. And right now what it's going to do is you can use it, and it will tell JavaScript what to do. And hopefully in the future, when all the web browsers support it natively, it'll be really, really fast, and people won't have to use JavaScript anymore. Is that pretty much the quick version of that?
Not exactly. So the problem with JavaScript is that it's way slower than native code. It's a problem to support in browsers because you can just there's a lot you can do with JavaScript, and there's a lot in the browser that is optimized in the JavaScript engine in the browser. But it would be better if there were something faster than JavaScript. But in order for something to be faster than JavaScript, it needs to actually be compiled, and you need to know some things about that. And so what this is going to do, or what this proposes to do, is with WebAssembly, that it does actually get compiled to binary, but it will still sort of polyfill for things that don't support WebAssembly. There is a JavaScript interpreter that can basically run and deal with the WebAssembly code as sort of a JavaScript fallback. And so this is really, like, on desktops, honestly, it's probably not going to matter because JavaScript is ridiculously fast on desktops just because desktops have an insane amount of horsepower. Where this is going to make a difference is on mobile. Mobile really needs something like this to make an interpreted language like JavaScript actually run a lot faster on a mobile format. And this would be nice because this would let you run binary sort of closer to the machine's operator, to the machine's processor, but you still get the JavaScript fallback. So for intermediate things that don't support it, it'll still run with JavaScript, but that means it's going to run slower. But for people that are writing the software to do that, they can put stuff in their software and be like, oh, this is way slow. Probably we're running in this slower fallback polyfill mode. We're not gonna do the fancy stuff. We're just gonna give you the basic stuff for that. So that'll be neat to see if that happens.
Stay tuned. I think it's going to have to happen eventually. JavaScript's kind of a monster on mobile. All right, let's go over to Germany and see what's up over there. How about some ketchup? So you buy a bottle of ketchup. This is genius marketing. You buy a bottle of ketchup and you scan the QR code and you're taken to a pornography website. Isn't that great marketing? Oh wait, it was an accident. It was an accident. So it was Heinz. They purchased a website and they had a QR code go to the website, but they only registered the website for a year or so. It was a 2012, 2014. Anyway, the link expired, but someone still had some ketchup. I guess the vinegar in the ketchup makes it last a long time. So yeah, he scanned his QR code and yeah, German porn. That's the weird stuff and all that. Yeah, and because when I think ketchup, I think pornography. It's Heinz. It's very easy to just register a domain name for, I don't know, 20 years. It's like $10 a year, and when a company like your size is putting a QR code on something, you better make sure that you own that for a long time. So other companies out there, yeah.
I want you to think about your grandma's cupboard. You open your grandma's cupboard. Close your eyes. Picture your grandma's cupboard. I want you to open it up. Now I want you to look around the room. I guarantee that you can find a condiment container from more than 10 years ago. You may remember the stovetop stuffing box from this channel. We had stovetop stuffing from the 70s, I think, that we unboxed. Guess where that came from? So can you imagine 20 years from now, somebody's going to have that QR code? The internet is still going to be here. That QR code is still going to work. All of those QR codes are going to go to very, very naughty places on the internet.
That's exactly what's happening right now. Someone is just sitting there collecting QR codes. There's a guy in like Michigan who has nothing better to do because everything's out of business, and he's sitting there collecting every QR code under the sun, and he's like, every day let's check and see if these are expired yet so that I can and then what's going to happen is someone's going to get that and they're going to scan the QR code and they're going to have a heart condition and die. Let's just move on.
It's like I've got this. It's like even the Amish. It's like the Amish bakery is using QR codes. This is amazing. And then 10 years from now, in your grandma's cupboard, it's like, oh, let's see if we can still get these. And it's like, oh my God, Timmy, what have you done?
Something was amish. All right. Oh yeah, it was bad. Uber. Uber drivers are now employees in California. That's probably somewhat good for the Uber employees now because they're going to get benefits and some stuff like that. But it's going to be bad for the whole sharing economy thing because right now the way Uber works is it's like you're your own boss and we just tell you where to go and you use your car and your gas and your stuff and we just give you gigs basically. That's a very rudimentary way to put it, but yeah. And now California has decided that they are employees. That sounds like an
employee.
Yeah,
so,
they're
this just in, Uber has shut down in California and said, F you, we don't care.
I've heard so many mixed things about Uber lately. I read an article where someone went undercover and they were doing Uber and then they figured out that they were only making like $11 an hour after a month. But then I talk to everyone that I get into an Uber car with around here, and I'm always like, I ask the very rude question. I found that it's totally okay in Seattle to ask extremely rude questions like, how old are you? Where do you live? That people just ask you that while you're getting coffee. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get in an Uber car and I'm just going to be like, how much money do you make? And everyone's like, oh yeah, man, I make about $27 an hour on a good day. But if sometimes I'm feeling lazy, I'll only make 15. So at least here people are making okay money, and everyone just divulges that information. So you guys learned two things. You learned how much they make here on Uber, and then you learned that when you come to Seattle, you can just ask completely rude questions, and it's totally normal because it's what people do. It's not it's not normal, guys. Anyway, so if that rolls out across the country, and different states start doing that, it's really going to hurt Uber's bottom line, and they're either going to have to raise their prices and be less competitive compared to taxi cabs, or who knows what. But I am curious to know if you guys out there think it's going to be good for the drivers in the long run. I mean, benefits could be a nice thing for the drivers, but then a lot of people do this as, I mean, like something they can do for just a few hours at a time. And I'm not sure how that's going to work with the whole they are employees thing. There may have to be some changes made there for part-time employees. I don't know. Could be interesting. All right, next up on the list, CO2 emissions. Now, I'm just going to mention this article quickly because this is an article specifically about China and the fact that they are embracing solar and renewables, hydro and all that sort of thing at an extremely fast rate. And though their economy and their cities are growing at a very, very, very fast rate, a ridiculous rate, globally, the emissions are coming down a little bit for the first time ever. So with them growing so fast and the emissions still coming down, that's a pretty huge that's a pretty huge thing. So I wanted to address this because someone got on our forum this week and they were talking about how they don't want to buy things from China because China has such a pollution problem. And yes, there's a ton of pollution in China, but on a per capita level, it's nothing compared to somewhere like America. America pollutes way more per capita. If we were the size of China, it would be just a big smog ball and all of us would be dead. So we have to look at it that way, and really, I kind of follow their lead and the lead of countries like Germany and that sort of thing, and get down to business with these renewables. Anyway, rant over. Let's move on. So,
that was a really impressive thing about visiting Taiwan is how much renewables there were, and how much like on the top of every building was a green space. Which is, in America, it's like, no, we don't want to put a garden on top of the building because it'll cause the roof to rot out. In Taiwan, it's like, no, we totally have to have a garden on the roof of the building. And then the Taipei 101, that's like it leads like double platinum 99 plus building. Apparently 3 guys on bicycles in the basement can power the whole building. So it's pretty good. Another interesting thing about over there, when like you would go up to like an escalator and you'd be like, oh, the escalator's out of order, it's not working. And then as you get up to it, it senses that you're coming and it starts working. So it stops working when no one's there. Like in the middle of the night, you're like, oh, they turned off all the escalators. No, they're still working. So I was clever. It was actually like I had a moment of panic because we got back on the metro really late one night, and like we stepped off of the platform and it was pitch black, and it's like, are we about to die? Is it? Is this the reckoning? What's going on? And then we took another step and the lights came on, and it was like, oh, that's cool. There's motion sensitive lights. That's neat. And it was like we were in that underground mall, and it was like, oh, it's dark in here too. And then it was like, oh, now it's lit up. Everything's fine. So that's kind of neat.
I think a lot of it is that there's not a lot of legacy stuff in Taiwan. So that's handy. When you have a place that's been around for hundreds of years, there's going to be a lot of legacy crap. You can still build around it, but it's not as easy when you just build it new. All right.
Look at us. We're the London Tube. We've got gas lights still.
And no air conditioning, you buffoons. Is there air conditioning? I don't think there is. It's like New York. Maybe there is. Air conditioning on trains in London. Let me know if it happens, because it definitely happened in Hong Kong and Taiwan. Let's see here. Time Warner Cable. They're about to be sued. We're going to talk about some funny ISP stuff. So Time Warner Cable is about to be sued. I'm surprised that they're the first who's about to be sued, but it's interesting to see that the FCC is a lot. They took action and now things are happening. So they're being sued by, where's the company? A San Diego-based company called Commercial Network Services, who basically say that they are being extorted by Time Warner Cable. Time Warner Cable wants them to pay because they use a lot of bandwidth, because they have traffic cameras everywhere, and cameras have a lot of, they use a lot of bandwidth. And, Time Warner Cable wants them to pay up for all the extra bandwidth they're using. And the other interesting thing about this is Time Warner's response is that, we're doing things that are totally normal in the industry, and this is just the way things work, and it's reasonable and just, and all these different things. So Time Warner is defending this is sort of like a fast lane, but not quite. But it is assigning priority to one. Go ahead.
We don't have the full picture of what this company is actually doing, but what it seems like is that this company runs internet-connected security cameras, and they're streaming video from their internet-connected security cameras. And so how much bandwidth does that really work out to be? It's like, well, it's like Netflix. We've got the numbers on Netflix. So if we're talking about IP security cameras that are running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and streaming 1080p video, then that's basically the same number as the streaming numbers for watching Netflix. And so we've done the math before, and if you watch 2 hours of footage a day with Netflix, you're going to hit your 250 gigabyte limit. And so this whole bandwidth cap nonsense for video cameras over the internet, that's not good, because it's basically a continuously running stream. Now they might be doing something intelligent with their software, like the cameras on where the cameras are. There could be a computer that's saying, okay, there's no motion, I'm not going to transmit a picture. Oh, there's motion now, I'm going to go ahead and send a picture. And so that it may not be that bad. It may not, the data situation may not be that dire. But the situation with net neutrality is that this company now, with these IP cameras, they should be able, like, if you're paying for whatever connectivity you've got, they should be able to stream their cameras, and they've got just as much right to use that as anybody else. So the net neutrality doesn't actually say anything about the bandwidth caps of anything. They're just saying that everybody's data has got to be like everybody else's data. So I expect this is like, it's long-winded. There's a long-winded roundabout way to say that because of net neutrality, I now expect bandwidth caps to come in full force immediately, because they're going to want to avoid companies like this that are going to say, well, we're paying for a 50 meg connection. We ought to be able to stream a couple IP cameras. And they totally should be able to stream a couple IP cameras. But these ISPs are never going to stand for that. So it's going to be a mess.
Well, let's look at what's happening in mobile data, because there are bandwidth caps that are very low in mobile data, and when you have something like AT&T, they just got fined $100 million because they were throttling people from, with their unlimited plans. People are getting like 0.23 down after they used to get like almost 100 down. So after they hit their
unlimited,
bandwidth
we
cap,
mean 5 gigabytes, because 5 gigabytes is unlimited. It's like,
so that's, the other model here is that AT&T could say, like, listen, we'll change it around and it'll be unlimited, but once you hit your bandwidth cap, you still get full speed, but you have to pay, an extra $10 per gigabyte or something like that. They're gonna that might be what they try to do, because that's kind of how Comcast does it, and some of the other ISPs do it with desktop connections or home connections or whatever. But yeah, they got hit with a $100 million fine. So the FCC is actually doing stuff. Pretty interesting. And then at the same time, Sprint looked at that, and they're like the guilty dog. You know what I mean? Like AT&T is getting scolded right now, and then Sprint's like just in the background, just kind of like slowly backing out of the room, like we didn't do anything. So Sprint has stopped throttling heavy users because they don't want to get hit with another or hit with a $100 million fine like that. $100 million is not.
Oops.
Not nearly enough, but it's enough of a slap on the wrist, but it's not nearly as much as they're making from these unlimited, plans and stuff. But
now,
I think it's kind of
we'll
funny.
add another. Well, the reason this article was next in the series is because there's another dimension of crazy to this, and that is AT&T does not count it against your bandwidth caps for certain services that they offer, and so they've been in trouble before in the past for some of their television services and their radio services over mobile. T-Mobile has this where it's like, you can, if you're streaming digital radio from one of our providers, that doesn't count against your bandwidth cap. These kinds of things are going to go away, Because those things actually in the U.S. those had already made it through the court system. There was a ruling against like Bell Mobility, which is not at&t, but it's the same situation. It would play out the same way, assuming all things were equal as far as the court system goes, which was at&t was basically not charging anything for streaming their television shows. So this guy got a huge bill for streaming Netflix on his phone because it he went over his cap and it was charging him and blah blah blah. And so they said, well, this guy would have only paid $5 more if he'd had the at&t service, data's data. So he doesn't owe you thousands of dollars, he owes you $5. And I think that if you really get down to it, like if somebody really dives in with Time Warner, let's say that somebody was watching digital services like HBO or something like that, I really think a good lawyer could make a good case out of that based on existing case law that has already happened, where they're looking at this and they're saying, well, the free streaming pay-per-view or the movie channels or whatever are transmitting a digital signal and it's coming to this guy's box 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. How is that any different than that IP video camera? How is, whatever's on HBO or whatever's on somewhere else different than that IP video camera? Now, in reality, that still is a broadcast signal versus a signal directed at, like that's not a broadcast signal. It's this one person's traffic. But I think a good lawyer could deal with that enough in court to make it an interesting case as far as net neutrality goes, because this is not fleshed out at all, not at all. But these companies, by doing things like saying we're going to let you have our services unlimited on our network, but other services you have to pay for in the form of a data cap, they can't have it both ways, because they're letting their own services run over their own network is data that is still used on their network, and where they're going to have congestion is the last mile, not the connection to the internet. And so if they let services not count against your cap in the last mile, it is going to hurt them severely when they try to use any kind of argument about a data cap in general, because the data cap in general would only make sense in the last mile of the network. It does not make sense anywhere else in their network. And so any kind of 250 gigs is going to saturate everything, that argument completely falls apart as long as there's some way for you to get some kind of data that is directed at you, that is not broadcast data necessarily. But I think a good lawyer would probably still be able to deal with it on the broadcast side.
Let's move over to the regular ISPs, I guess, for home users and that sort of thing. Take a look at Verizon. Verizon's got some fun stuff going on. So they've been making a lot of promises, and 20 years ago they made a lot of promises to bring high-speed internet to a lot of different areas. Now, Pennsylvania, Jersey, they promised to bring pretty much everyone up to about 45 megabits per second, and it's just not happening. So it's kind of interesting. I'm not sure who they paid off, but people in those areas, the Pennsylvania, Jersey, some other places, they let them off the hook. They were like, listen, just as long as everybody has, really crappy internet, we're going to be fine. Or, you know what, we said you were going to have to run, dedicated DSL or fiber or whatever, but you could just put a stupid little LTE antenna and then throttle the hell out of them. You can put that on the roof. That's okay. New York said in 2008 that, they made a deal that, they could bring, they're supposed to be bringing FiOS to everyone in all the boroughs. And it was supposed to be done by June 30th. And right now there's a lot of people without FiOS. If you're in New York City and you don't have FiOS, well, you're supposed to have FiOS. And so now New York is like, yeah, Verizon, you should finish that. Verizon is making so many ridiculous excuses. It's kind of funny. And they've been given stuff. I mean, they have been given things in return for this. Like, in a lot of these cases, they were allowed to raise their prices for like phone services and stuff. There's a lot of trade-offs. So they've received a lot, but they're not giving back, man. So they're going to be in trouble.
There's an audit report.
Yeah.
There's an audit report that goes with this where they audited like what has Verizon actually done.
Let's just open that up.
The audit was basically done by a neutral third party. And so I would encourage everybody to read this. It is a side-splitting hoot. It is amazing.
You will laugh until
if you
you
live
cry.
in this area, if you live in this area and you need good internet to do your job, or having good internet would make your life better, you might go on a homicidal rampage reading the audit. I mean, it's entirely possible.
And then can you blame that on Verizon, maybe?
The most awesome thing from this report, or one of the more awesome things from this report, in terms of like, so what the long and short of it is Verizon's whole, please don't fine us, please don't get us in trouble in New York City. Their whole excuse really comes down to just a couple of things. And one of the really funny things is we've got fiber in the street that goes past buildings. And that's kind of like servicing buildings with fiber, because it's there, and theoretically maybe we could hook it up. But, we really had a lot of problems getting permissions from landlords to install stuff in the building. And then you look at the independent audit report, and it touches on that point. And it says, here in, examples 1 through 358, Verizon contacted the building owners on, this borough and this block, and we've got a copy of the agreement from the building owner. The building owner was not willing to sign the agreement in, 380 out of 391 cases or whatever, because Verizon wanted exclusive rights to offer ISP services to that building. Exclusive rights to be the ISP was never part of the agreement from New York City. It was never part of the agreement. I mean, New York City it's a huge metropolis. It's fiercely competitive. And yet, somehow the cable industry has already avoided competing with themselves. Like, there's different cable companies, but there's not really any overlapping cable service. Isn't that funny? And so here we have Verizon saying, well, the landlords won't let us in the building, when in the reality is that Verizon is saying to the landlords, we want to force you to make your tenants only have us as an ISP, which surely will not piss off your tenants. No, it couldn't possibly piss off your tenants. And so then in this commission, they're saying, well, we shouldn't have to run to buildings where we have to compete with other services for being an ISP, because we want to charge whatever the hell we want to charge, and that's just the long and short of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And the other thing that's really funny is a lot of the areas where they said stuff like this, they said, hey, the landlord won't let us into the building. There's conflicting reports where people in those buildings have called Verizon and been like, hey, are you guys here? And Verizon's responded with, quote unquote, sorry, we have no plans to extend our service to your area ever. And that's also in there. That's like, well, what? You don't have any plans, but you guys agreed to it. Oh, no. We don't have any plans to actually do that. That's silly. Well,
sir, if you stand on the roof of your building, you can see another building that is serviced by Verizon Fios.
That counts. That's
close enough, right?
That counts, yeah. All right, let's talk about some hardware. You guys can go back and read all that stuff. It's fun, but okay, the AMD stuff, the new Fury X cards and everything. Should you get one more thing about it?
It's like, in order for you to enjoy your new Fios service, what you're going to need to do is go to the roof of your building, locate the carrier pigeons that have been dyed red, strap your request on the micro SD card onto the leg of the carrier pigeon, which is trained to fly to our specially equipped Verizon Fios receiving facility, where your request on micro SD card will be processed by our elite nerdery and returned to you by carrier pigeon the next day.
You see, for large files, that's still faster than a lot of the service that they already have. So,
it really is.
Carrier pigeon's a great way to go for large files, especially if you've been throttled. All right, let's go ahead, and we're not going to actually talk about the Radeon stuff, because probably tomorrow, the video is ready to go right now, but this is going to go online tonight. Tomorrow we'll be uploading a video. Jennifer was able to go to the AMD press conference, so she has some insights from that. I know you guys have seen these cards already and whatnot, but we'll save that for the video tomorrow, all things AMD. She also went to E3, so she'll be here talking tonight. I'm going to edit it into the video today, tomorrow, whenever you're watching this. Now I'm confused. Now everyone out there is confused. Jennifer is in this video talking about E3 in just a minute. So, all right, moving right along. AMD stuff coming later. AMD's, all that's tomorrow. Yeah. All right, world's thinnest light bulb. This is kind of interesting. So they put a sheet of graphene, which is carbon, basically 1 atom thick. So they put that over, was it like an electrode or something, and sent a current through it, and it lights up. The world's smallest light bulb. It gets 2,500 degrees Celsius but all that heat is concentrated right in the center, so they say that it doesn't actually melt the electrodes. That's incredibly... Do not touch this thing. They
It's
said it was
very
bright,
tiny and very bright.
It's bright enough to see with the human eye. I wonder what they'll be able to do with this. I'm thinking that, though they say in the article here, they'll be able to create some pretty impressive displays and that sort of thing, possibly in the future. But it's just another cool thing that you can do with graphene. Is there like a website, cool stuff that you can do with graphene? I hate the Daily Mail. Oh my God, why am I on this website? I freaking hate the Daily Mail. I can't even scroll down without like my freaking IQ going. Just I can't speak anymore. Close the website. Go away.
I still think graphene is the asbestos of the 21st century.
It's asbestos.
It's got a million and one uses.
Just don't breathe it in. That's all.
Actually, asbestos really isn't that bad unless you breathe it in, and then it's really bad.
Yeah. If it wasn't for that one guy who ate some of it, we'd still be using it. But one guy ate some of it and ruined it for the rest of us. Yeah. Just like the one guy who set his shoes on fire. Now we all have to take our shoes off at the airport. Fun.
Those asbestos coffee mugs, man, they kept your coffee warm for years.
I'm not going to do any more asbestos puns. I promise. I'll try my asbestos not to. All right, Eric Schmidt, he made a pretty interesting statement here, and that's pretty much the whole article. And it's something we already knew. Why are we even talking about this? But he says, just so that everyone knows, he says that once machines reach our level of intelligence and overtake our level of intelligence, that there's no catching them. That's it. We're done. So just remind ourselves that we're about to be the first species on Earth that's going to be creating a smarter thing. See, I can't even... I'm dead from the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail has ruined my brain for the rest of the day. But yeah.
There have been a lot of AI stories lately. I think there's going to be like a lot of new sitcoms and stuff on TV and new literature and stuff around artificial intelligence. And it's exciting, but, you know, we went through this with artificial intelligence in the 70s. And yeah, the computers are a lot more powerful now. And yeah, we might be able to actually pull it off in my lifetime. But we're really getting ahead of ourselves with the AI stuff. There's so much we have to do before we can really have true cognition in an artificial intelligence entity. I don't think it's going to be a eureka moment and then it's figured out. I think that the first things that we're going to have are just logic engines. But Schmidt is probably right. Whenever it does happen, that's it. Humanity's not going to catch up to that. Not anytime. Maybe in millions of years, but that's just it's hard to imagine.
I mentioned this on the tech before, and I can never remember this. But who's the dude who said most of the greatest discoveries in the world are not heralded by Eureka, but rather that's funny.
That's funny.
Something like that.
I've heard that before.
That's funny. that tickles me, like to the point of laughter. All right, anti-aging pill.
Why was I made to feel pain?
All right, how about some anti-aging pills? So different companies they're begging the FCC to make not the FCC, FDA. The FCC can't do a damn thing. They're trying to get the Food and Drug Administration to look at these and see them as legitimate drugs, and they're not looking to make anyone immortal. You can't really do that with anti-aging stuff anyway. That's kind of a stupid idea. But they just want to look at it essentially as an illness that we can correct, and also they want to look at it as a look. If we can fix aging, we can fix a lot of the illnesses that come along with aging. So one of the ways to treat some of those illnesses are not to treat those illnesses, but rather to treat aging. And they're thinking that they're going to be able to do that pretty soon. They've got a few drug candidates on the list that still need more testing, but have been able to do some things. Anti-aging is coming.
The takeaway for me for this was not really anti-aging, but it looked like the preliminary data from this was that it was really successful for people that have diabetes. And so with diabetes, you get early onset heart disease and cancer, cognitive decline, and death. and this seemed to sort of prevent those symptoms from diabetes from happening, basically by being a supplement, I guess. And so that is the interesting aspect of this, that it's not really doing anything super drastic. It's just sort of keeping the status quo for longer. So I think that in wildly unhealthy Americans, this helps shore up wildly unhealthy Americans so that they live longer. I don't know that this is like, look, we're going to have people that live to 150. I don't think it's that. I think it's, look, morbidly obese Americans can now live to 80 again.
All right, let's talk about some gaming. We got a couple things to talk about, and then Jennifer's going to come on and talk about E3. First thing I want to mention is Sword Coast Legends. I'm really excited because the game, if you haven't seen it, it's similar to like a Pillars of Eternity, Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, Neverwinter Nights. Neverwinter Nights. That's the one that it's the most similar, in my opinion. They're most similar to, in my opinion. And here's why. There's a DM mode, I suppose, and the DM tools are going to be awesome. So you'll be able to jump into a server. Someone's going to be the dungeon master, and then you can run through quests. And that was one of the things that made Neverwinter Nights, especially the first one, really special, was the ability to have a DM and create some scenarios, let them create some dungeons and stuff. So that looks really cool. It also sets this game apart from a lot of the other games that are coming out that have similar mechanics and stuff. So keep an eye on that.
They had me at never.
Yeah. That's gonna be interesting. Also, Shenmue 3. There's a Kickstarter now for Shenmue 3. That broke its goal in like a day. But Shenmue 3, guys, I haven't played 1 and 2. I just know that everyone who played 1 and 2 has been talking forever about, when's there ever going to be a Shenmue 3? And then it became a joke on the internet, and now there's going to be a Shenmue 3, so freak out if you're looking forward to that. And
I haven't played Shenmue 1 and 2. I know nothing about it. I have a feeling this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I haven't really played them either, but Pistol is like beside herself, and her brother just like lost his mind. He thought it was a joke at first. So yeah. Fallout 4, guys. If you guys go to our website, just text syndicate.com and scroll down just a little bit, you'll see that we have some game deals. Also on the right hand side, there's a lot of game deals that get posted there. And you can go ahead and grab Fallout 4 right now if you want to pre-order it. I know a lot of people are anti-pre-order, but if you want to, you can get it for $45 instead of $60 using this link right here. I bought it. I used our own coupon. I haven't pre-ordered a game in like a couple of years, and I just was like, I'm gonna buy it when it comes out, like on the first day, because I like Fallout, and we're gonna use it for maybe I'll use it in the studio and justify it that way. But so yeah, everyone who hates people who pre-order games, hate on me, or go buy it. I don't care. I don't know. It's just. It's yeah.
Surface Pro 3 i3 is also on sale. It's 64 gig for $650. Although this deal actually will stack with other deals. So if you shop around and you do like the new mover, like how I'm moving discount, and like with Best Buy or whatever, you can actually get this for like $5.99, which is pretty good.
All right, let's go ahead and get Jenny in here and talk about E3 a little bit and her experience.
Yeah, E3.
The only thing I really got to do at E3 was I got to try Sony's Project Morpheus for the second time. I went over to the Oculus booth first to see if I could get in and try the consumer edition of Oculus, but they didn't have Oculus Touch, which we did at the NVIDIA booth at Computex, and I was like, oh, me and Steve were both like, oh, if you don't have Touch, don't even bother us, we're out of here. This girl was telling us, like, she obviously had just had her first VR experience that morning, because everybody who does it for the first time and it's really good the first time, it's like their lives have been changed. And that's how I felt about it the first time I got to do an Oculus demonstration. I walked out of there feeling that a revolutionary technology had just been presented to me, and my life and the world's view of that technology was forever changed in that moment. And it was a huge, huge moment. And so you go about always trying to like duplicate that moment and see if, what's the next thing? I want to try the next thing. I want it to be just that good. So when she was like, I don't know what Oculus Touch is, but it's better than Disneyland. We were like, okay, we're good. So I decided to go try Project Morpheus. Steve had never done it before, and this is Sony's PlayStation peripheral. The Morpheus last year when I tried it was super, super under wraps. They didn't even have it somewhere out in the open where people could take pictures of you using it. And so I thought, all right, so this is like really in development and it's going to get better because it was one of the most painful things I ever put on my head. And then they handed me the same exact thing this year, wrenched it down on my head, and it was horribly uncomfortable. It's super front heavy. It doesn't have the foam pad around the eye cups that the Oculus has. It has like that cheap plastic covered, like, headphone foam around it. So you got like this vinyl pinching your face. And then it has like a construction worker's tourney wheel on the back with hard plastic bands. So they like slap it on your face, wrench it down on your head, and it's so painful to wear.
And then they hand you... How's the experience as far as like the VR experience?
The game I played was so flippin' fun. If I had it, I probably would have played it for another hour, even with the headache, because they hand you the two little PlayStation wands, and that's something that Oculus didn't have until this year with Oculus Touch, the use of your hands. But they hand you the two little wands, and this is your gun hand, and this is your reload hand, and you're in a car as a gangster rolling down the freeway with your buddy Mickey driving, and it's called London Heist was the game I played. I had a bag full of clips to my right and a machine gun in my left hand, and I was just spraying down motorcyclist gangsters and guys in Escalades and stuff, and I blew out the windshield in the van, and I was just like reloading and doing the whole action. And
so just basically like any regular Thursday for you.
Oh yeah, totally. I live in LA.
That's how you get home.
So I finished up, and the guy came, and he just like took it off me, and he's just looking at me, and I was like, how'd I do? He's like, pretty good.
Lots of practice, right?
As I've done as a time or two, I'm pretty oriented. But then they came with this gal and stuck a camera and a microphone in my face and wanted to interview me because I guess they thought I had just had my first VR experience, would be super stoked about it. But I was actually like, no, this was shit.
Did you tell them the how uncomfortable it was and everything on camera?
Because I did. I said I'm really sad to see that they didn't take any of my feedback from last year about how painful this thing is to wear. I was really hoping that they would use that feedback when I gave it to them. I said also, it's a PlayStation. The rendering is just never going to be as good as a PC.
So they didn't...
The game is very cartoony. It has no texture at all. Everything's a completely flat surface and shiny.
This entire thing is why I never go to E3. Just like everything you've said, I'm like, I'm so glad you did this, so I don't have to. It's great. This is awesome. I can just chill here. I just sit here and have my coffee. It's good.
Yeah, and everything was super crowded, and there were long-ass lines for everything, so Steve and I, we don't have trouble buying the games we want to play when they come out, so we didn't really feel like we needed to stand in 2-hour lines to go try the newest Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Which I was surprised to see this year they were actually letting people play. Last year with Unity, you knew something was up because you weren't allowed to play the game. You just stood in a dark room with a developer who played it for you.
Weird. I mean,
you got to watch.
I mean, some people like that, but I think that this year they're letting people play it because it's called Syndicate, and I made a few phone calls.
Oh, did you really?
Trying to play off of our popularity because they're like, nobody knows about this Assassin's Creed game. We never really make any of them. I mean, we make one like every 6 years, and nobody talks about it. Nobody reviews it. But there's this Tech Syndicate group of kids that makes a video maybe 4 times a day, and they're amazing, and we should just, try to get some of their popularity going for us. So that's what happened. I guarantee that's what happened.
Inevitably, though, the Syndicate's going to be the bad guys, which I'm... Whatever.
Define...
It's discrimination.
If I'm gonna speak for Kane, define bad.
Exactly. I will say that the characters in the game do have better outfits than we do.
That London,
That's
that
true
London
even
street
of the
vibe,
Final Fantasy VII remake.
Oh yeah, that is true.
which is
Which
It's like
the
one of the
whole
only
trailer's
games.
a little girl going down the slide. I'm like, really?
It's a metaphor. That's like one of the only games that's not confirmed for the PC that was at E3. Almost every game has been confirmed for PC. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, everything is. I think the Final Fantasy VII is going to be just a PlayStation exclusive because of the deal that Square Enix has with Sony.
Weird. I mean, Square makes a lot of games for PC, but that's... Oh, well, I mean, I don't really want to replay that game anyway. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people like, dude, this is the best game ever. I'm not a JRPG guy. That's fine. You guys can play them all day long. My voice is going higher. So, whatever.
Other than that, I spent a lot of time avoiding the Nintendo booth and got stuck in the EA booth for a while because there's no back door to it. You just walk into it and then you're just kind of like, get me out of here.
Do we want to share the shirt since we're never going to make the shirt?
This shirt? I think we should make the shirt.
We should totally make the shirt, but we're never going to make that shirt.
Why? What shirt?
Somebody made an electronic farts shirt. And it's dumb. It's like very dumb. And whoever made it is bad, and it's dumb. But we have it. All right, so...
Okay, go ahead.
I was like, what else happened there? Oh, no, I've got two of you on the screen. Whatever, I'm just going to do this. There we go. What else happened?
Yeah, I got to play the Fallout 4 tablet game, which is weird. And seems to be all about reproduction, so I'm going to pass on that one.
They guarantee it'll be fun, and they say it's not just for making money, according to Todd Howard.
No, it's for making virtual babies. Like all you do. It tells you right away. It's like, put a male and a female in a room and turn the radio up and see what happens. Well, what happens is babies. And apparently the only way to win any given level is to keep the women knocked up.
Well, if they just...
Because you need more people to, like, run all of the facilities. So if you want to keep having personnel that can build new water treatment plants and new power plants and new food rooms where all they do is cut cheese. I don't know what that's all about. They're like in there just shaving cheese.
It's a metaphor.
Clearly.
The E3 is nothing but metaphors.
Then you have to take the people off of the jobs every once in a while and put a guy and a gal in a room somewhere and turn the radio up and move two that, aren't fornicating over to the job and keep them just kind of in this constant pregnant rotation.
It's Fallout. They need a fornication station for sure. Anyway, so Fallout 4, has everyone purchased it yet?
I have not, but I probably will.
Yeah, everyone's pre-purchasing like crazy.
It will be my first Fallout title I've ever played.
I'm gonna go ahead.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick rant about Fallout 4, just real quick, and I don't think it's going to happen because Todd Howard on Der Spiegel, German news website, he said that they are not planning at this current moment to do the whole paid mods thing. But I'm looking at Fallout 4 and thinking it's a really good opportunity for them to do the whole paid mods thing, especially because they said that the PC mods would be compatible with the Xbox and possibly the PlayStation, but not immediately, maybe later, because because Xbox put a bunch of money in their mouth and made sweet love to them. So that's slightly, I mean, it's okay. The console guys, you guys can have mods. You need mods. You're out there. I mean, you guys are out there in the cold. I feel bad for you. Have some mods. We're sorry. I mean, yeah, it's the least we can do. I mean, and when you guys are ready to jump over on the PC, come on over. We'll be happy to help you out. Anyway, Bethesda, please do not change your mind on this. We don't want paid mods. At least I don't want paid mods. I can't speak for everybody else, but the audience made a lot of noise when you guys tried to do that with Skyrim, and I see some opportunities for some greedy behavior here. And if you do decide to do paid mods, make it a donation system and do not take 75% off the top and put it in your own pocket for, you guys made the platform. I understand. Take 25% or whatever, but make it a donation system and or nothing. That's my take on this whole thing. But yeah, and yeah, I'll go ahead and grab the game when it comes out, especially because I'm looking forward to modding it. I'll probably grab the game and not play it, just like I did with Skyrim. I bought it on day one, got home, installed it, and went, damn, this sucks, and waited until the modding community fixed it. And then I was like, pardon me. And then I was like, oh, this is a wonderful game. One of my favorite games of all time now, after you mod the hell out of it. You need like 50 mods minimum before you can even play it. So hopefully that won't be the case with Fallout 4, but even then I'll wait for the mods before I really get into it, because they make things much better. And the E and Bs may not need one because it's got lighting effects, but there'll be some graphical mods because the graphics are, I mean, people are already yelling about the graphics on the internet, so I don't know. It's going to be cool. I wonder what you guys think in the comments, so tell us. You
know what the best thing about E3 was? I didn't have to go.
Yeah, that is nice. So, yeah, that's pretty much the end of the episode, guys. I don't think we missed anything else. Remember, do not forget to head over to epicpants.com and grab the shirt of the month. Not only a short time left, and it'll be gone. Yes. And who knows what I don't even know what, at this point, I don't even know what the shirt of the month is going to be for next month, so we're going to leave you there. Hope you guys have a nice whatever. Just whatever it is that you have, I hope that it's nice. I'm just wanted to make a good thing to end on. I still can't speak from the damn Daily Mail. It's ruined my life. Don't go to the Daily Mail. It will ruin your life. That rag. that drivel. That swill. See you guys next time on something else. I'm just prolonging this. It's painful. Bye.
I want you guys to go tweet at AMD to put Wendell on the list.
We've done this before, so or was that
maybe we shouldn't do that.
No, do it.
Do it.
You know what? Screw it. We'll buy if we need something, and if the audience wants to see it, we'll freaking buy it and review it, and then we'll sell it on eBay and make our money back or do something.
That's kind of my feeling on everything these days. Especially after I wrote my little rant about the brand integration agencies.
You guys can
it's like, do you fail to understand that if we wanted to review something, we could just go purchase it?
We do actually buy an insane amount of stuff as it is.
We really do.
The last everything that I've reviewed has all been was like, I need that, and so it's like, well, I guess I can review it. All right, whatever. Yeah. So we got a review coming up of the Asus 303 with the Broadwell, the Ultrabook with the Broadwell, and it's like, yeah, oh yeah, I need one of those. I'll just review it. It's fine, whatever. I don't care. It's just too much work. It's just.
Well, Asus wouldn't ever send us a sample of a laptop anyway, unless we guaranteed when it was going to be back in their hands.
Oh, yeah.
Because they do not give samples. They loan samples.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even just a loan, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, just loan it to us. That's fine, as long as we can do a quick video on it and get it back. But we needed to have it long enough to do an actual review. But, you know, I'm totally fine with buying more stuff. And then we can either give it away to the audience, which is, I think, good. And then, or we could try to, if it's a really expensive item, maybe we'll try to sell it or something. I don't know. So, I mean...
we don't have enough tech support people to buy everything and then give it away.
I mean,
it's our goal.
There are some websites out there, or some YouTube channels out there who get things from the vendors almost exclusively, and then take the things that they receive for free from the vendors and sell it to their audience. I've always felt a bit weird about that. So, I mean...
Yeah.
I guess it's, it's okay.
I would rather like hide behind a anonymous eBay store and shamefully hide like sell things.
I have to edit this entire part out because that's what I do. But I mean, you got to sell stuff. So I mean, maybe we should sell it on our own website.
It's true. Otherwise, you would have had to build your house in Washington out of cases.
I know.
It's absurd how much room those things take up.
2 cases came in today.
Oh,
It's
two?
always it's good for
Sorry.
it's good for product comparisons if nothing else. It's like, oh, I need this product. It's like, I opened a drawer the other day and found a Z87 motherboard. It's like, what is that? It's like, what is this? I don't understand. What happened? And then it turned out that one is the one that died. Like, we got one, and it's like, I'm going to do a review on this, and we had one of the engineering sample processors, and it was like, this is going to be great, because we actually did get something ahead of time for once, and we put it in the thing, and the engineering sample processor was like, and then that motherboard did not work anymore, and it's like, oh, that's why
that one, yeah.
Yeah, it was like,
Sadness.
So yeah, we do get some things for free, and we do buy some things, and that's nobody can control what we say.
Sometimes we get it's like that was -1 free. It's like it's a processor, but it's a processor that's going to take other hardware with it.
Yeah,
and it's like, damn it.
And after that, it takes up space. I mean, Windows has more space than I do, so I'm always tripping over all this stuff. And someone online was like, "Dude, you get stuff for free. That is considered payment in my book, and it makes it kind of a gray ethical area." You know what, man? You come and live here with all this shit everywhere, and try to get up in the middle of the night and not trip over a box while you're trying to go get water or something. It's first world problem. It's the worst first world problem I've ever had.
Also, most people don't understand that there really is no such thing as a free lunch. They do send us things, but then we are obligated to them to get a review video done on that product in a timeline that they think is appropriate, not what our creativity allows us to do it in the best way it can be. It's, we get hounded. Hey, we sent you this and we'd like to see the video on it, please. And it's like, yeah, we'd love to do the video on it, but right now we're working on other projects, or inspiration hasn't really come. We want to make a good video.
Or eating a sandwich.
Some vendors are more understanding of that than others. By and large, the vendors that I talk to, we have pretty good relationships with, and I can just explain, hey, we're just trying to make a really good quality video for you, so if you could give us a little more time. But
that's not, I'm going to be completely candid with the audience. That's not usually the case. A lot of times it's like, there's that thing, and it's going to require this much time, but I'm on a roll with this song I'm working on, so I'm like, I'm going to keep doing the song until someone calls and says, if you don't do this, I will murder you. And then I'm like, okay, I better do that. But the song is getting good. So that happens a few times here and there. Then other times it's like we really do have 6 products and we need to do all of them by tomorrow. And it's like, I can't even, like, the amount of testing that goes into some of these products cannot even be physically done in a few hours. It takes much longer than that. So, and if we don't test it, then, I mean, how good would we
look like asses.
Yeah. There's a lot of idiots out there in the world who like get stuff, they don't test it, and they just make up a review, or they just go online and steal someone else's content and then turn it into a video review. I know that there's people out there doing that. I don't know any of them by name, but I know it's happening, and I just can't sleep if I do that kind of stuff. So
there are also almost weekly, almost daily things where it's like, we're going to send you this really awesome thing, but we want you to sign a contract that does stuff. It's like, we will never do that.
Yeah. Or if we're going to, the other thing that we will not ever do is people are like, hey, we're going to send you a product review, and how much money can we give you to like make a good review and make it done by this date? That's when I like tell them to go screw themselves, and I'd rather buy it than even get a free copy without any pay from you, because you guys are not my kind of people. I don't know. I can't deal with when they try to pay for reviews, man. So
someday we'll have enough tech support members we could just buy everything that's coming out and it'll be fine. Unfortunately, that means that our reviews will not happen on launch day, which kind of sucks. But
I guess that's the only draw about having some kind of insight with the vendors and having them send us things is if we can get things before launch day, so that we can adequately test them and stuff like that. But I truly feel that our audience cares enough about what you guys feel or think, or the tests you do on a product, to wait a week or so, and even if we just say, hey, we got this in the studio, we're running tests on it now, what do you guys think? Will you still come watch our videos even if we're a week or 2 late on a launch product? Would you rather have a crappy launch video or a good review?
I think a lot of the people in the comments are going to agree with you and say exactly what we want to hear. But I do at the same time think that our video will get far fewer hits just organically from people looking for things on the internet. Because on day one, everyone gets online and Googles, and they come up with 3 or 4 things, you know, online, and they click on one of those. And then a week later, they've already like, oh, no, I've already seen everyone else's video. So it would hurt the overall view count. But I've never actually cared about the overall view count versus the quality of our audience that we retain. So,
yeah, that's the important, is conversions and retentions.
So if you're just joining us, guys, we're doing a little marketing talk here. So
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's probably good. I'm going to put this after the credits for all the people who stay that long and actually care, which is about 20% of our audience. And you guys are the real audience, right? The 20% who stayed, or the 20% who didn't have to go anywhere. So yeah.
We appreciate you, even if you're watching us on mute, just to make us feel better.
That made me
I promise
sad.
I never do that.
That made me very sad. All right, does that pretty much cover everything? And we've
That's it. That was my whole week. I've been slaving away for you otherwise, so I didn't go back to E3.
I probably wouldn't have either. I mean,
yeah. Honestly, after Computex, it was too soon to go do another convention. By hour 4 of walking around with a heavy backpack on, I was like, please just kill me. Please.
My jet lag was over like yesterday. That's how long it took, which is, it's the weirdest thing ever. I've never had jet lag this long, but I was going to sleep for 3 hours at a time. And I typically every single day will take a 10-minute nap, and my 10-minute naps were like 6 hours, and I would wake up at like 8 o'clock at night after like a 6-hour nap and be like, who am I? And what is this? Where am I? And oh, I'm in my house. And then just like be groggy, bouncing off the walls or like bouncing into walls, and just, it's been the worst jet lag I've ever had. It's no real headaches or anything like that. Just it's weird. When I go to Asia, I wake up the next morning and I'm like, hey, this is great. And I never have jet lag, but it was bad. So I'm just now like coming out of my fog, I suppose.
Yeah, I was still, like, I popped my eyes open at 5 a.m. Monday morning, ready to get on the road and be in traffic for 2 hours to get to the convention center. Like it was nothing. So I was still feeling it. And then by 6 o'clock at night, sitting in that chair at the PC Gamer Show, I was yawning
Bedtime.
so much, and I was so embarrassed. I'm sitting next to Dimitri in the front row on a live stream, just like yawning every 2 minutes. I've got like the yawn tears rolling down my face.
That means that you were bored to tears.
I was bored to tears.
And this is like some pretty cool, compelling stuff right here. I mean, come on.
I felt so bad because they put so much work into it, and the presenter was super polished. I mean, he was really, really good. But the content was just like snooze fest.
It's really, I don't understand the precedence, because if the pixels were water, I would be satisfied if there was literally a dude with a fire hose on stage and he opens it up and he just spends 2 hours spraying everybody in the face with water. It's like, look at this stream of pixels. Look, it's totally going to hit you in the face. It's just, yes, this is amazing. I've never felt that way, this many pixels in the face at once. This is amazing. And then, and then we go home and everybody's satisfied. We don't need anything else.
That's the end, guys. If you're still watching this, you probably hate yourself. So get off the internet for a while and go outside and tell me what you've learned. But not from the video, but what you learn after you go outside. See you guys later.
Bye.